The gang of Personal Flash Paper is back at it again. Rob, Randy, and Ryan have met face to face to record this episode. Let's tune in and see what they've all been up to.
Welcome to Personal Flash Paper, an Infinity podcast with a focus on beginner topics in the game of Infinity. On this episode, the Hobby Desk, some prizes for the Hobby Streak, the rule of the episode, Impetuous order, the main topic, list building, and some games we played. With your host,
Randy.
Rob.
And I'm Ryan. All right, we are actually live in person, sitting in front of each other here. You may hear some extra tapping because the mics are super sensitive, and all of us use our hands to talk and keep hitting the table.
That's what she said.
Yeah. or moving chairs, as I just did. So you heard that. All right, so we're back, guys. This is our third one. We're on a roll.
Yeah, we're on a roll. I mean, this is statistical analysis heaven right here. We've got a good data set going.
Yeah,
That's only really funny because Rob and I had a big data set discussion yesterday for work. So
see, you guys see this, right? They work together. They sleep together. I mean, it's like they're a couple.
But he is not my work wife.
Right, but they have, and then they have these inside jokes, and then I get on and then they talk for, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes about these inside jokes. And I'm just sitting there like, I need beer.
Beer sounds good.
Yeah, and it's
7:49 a.m.
Yeah.
So
It's noon somewhere in the world.
Yeah, it's noon. It is noon. In fact, that is true. We should have thought of this. We should have thought this through a little bit better.
A little better.
We should brought, drinks because we're gonna be parched soon.
Soon.
There's gonna be some parching.
Yes. Dry like the desert.
Yeah.
all right, so let's do some Hobby Desk stuff. So Randy, anything? Bueller.
For however many years this podcast has been going on, I think two. We always start the Hobby Desk with me, or Grant just used to skip me altogether because there's just. And now that we're all face to face, everybody can like stare at me like, so what do you do?
So how you doing?
Actually, I painted up an entire army secretly.
Secretly?
I'm gonna whip it out later.
Oh, yeah.
I am. I'm gonna take pictures. And I'm gonna send it to everybody.
I think we're 300 feet away from the school.
Yeah, I think we a little bit more. I think I'm fine. I think I'm fine. No, there is no hobby for Randy. Mighty Randy has struck out. Okay,
That's because Mighty Randy is in the schools.
and Mighty Randy is in the schools. He's what you say. He might be he'd be a school boy.
He'd be a schoolboy.
Yeah. So no, I've done nothing but clinicals, and I'm in a psychiatric clinical rotation right now. So I'm dealing with crazy people. I was afraid the other day I was going to be committed with them. So word to the wise for people that if you ever go to these places or have been in one, making random jokes about hearing voices or
seeing things out of the corner of your eye.
Or referring to yourself in the third person is just such a bad idea. Okay, they look poorly upon you, and you're like, the Randy says, and even though you're just trying to do your best rock impersonation, I don't have the looks or the eyebrow, so it didn't. They definitely want to know if I thought I was somebody else. So
I guess it'd be worse if the patient started following you. The Randy said.
The Randy said,
"You must follow the Randy."
Who's this Randy?
Blessed are the words of the Randy.
All praise the holy Randy.
In his name we pray. Randy says. No, so no, we've had some messages. I swear to God, every time I go to pull the trigger on my next force that we're going to talk about now, I hesitate. I see a new shiny, and I'm like, oh, new shiny.
You should just play Merovingia.
Yeah.
There will never be a new shiny.
Yeah, there will never be a new.
That's not true because
I
it just
guess
came out
they go out
the Chessar.
Yeah. I should just do it. I should play the Frenchies, and then it would be like, oh, Randy's playing Frenchies. But no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not taking any more polls from people. Because you guys are twisted when you do things. I mean,
really,
the
internet is twisted.
The internet's twisted. You guys, our listeners, are even just as sick and twisted. I think you're there to hurt. You guys are like hot sauce, okay? But you're not hot sauce to make it flavorful. You're hot sauce to hurt. Like you guys are that pepper. Okay, you're the ghost pepper.
Ghost pepper.
You guys are ghost pepper. You guys.
we may have the name of the episode. Right
I think we do the ghost pepper. So yeah. So you guys are the ghost pepper. So we're gonna build a list today. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later. So that is my hobby time. This is my therapy. My two shrinks are Rob and Ryan. It'll be great. So what about you, Rob? Every day?
Every day. So I'm at Hobby Desk Hobby Streak day 127. Today will be 128. And it's going along. I was able to shoot a little bit of video for a saturation zone last night for an airbrush segment, because Randy and I had been talking about it would be cool to carry the saturation zone from cleaning models to priming models to actually painting models. So that's what I was working on last night a little bit. So, Ryan?
Cool. I finished the Wiggles commission.
Oh, yeah.
It was delivered and played at Bug Eater.
How do you do with that?
Well, he played.
He looked good doing it.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah.
No, I mean he hasn't played with that army for a while, so the scenarios were rough on Sunday. But we will discuss that a little bit later.
Yeah, because I've got a very nice cinematic flair of Chris's fire team and one of my Minutemen.
Yeah. So,
it did not end well for the Minutemen.
So, other than that, I actually have another commission. I am having a little bit of the new shiny and waffling back and forth on what I want to paint for myself next. There's a couple other podcasts who do painting competitions, and I may want to try to swing a model in for one of those. But I haven't really decided yet. I actually have been diverted and am actually painting a bunch of Oompa Loompas for a thing for my daughter for her bio board. She's in a summer musical. My daughter is a musical theater person, and she does this, and they're doing Willy Wonka, and my wife and I do the bio boards. And so I've literally been sitting in front of the TV painting and coloring these little Oompa Loompas to go on the bio boards. So that's been a majority of my hobby time there.
Gotcha.
That seems. I mean, I just read. I'm one of those people that click the links on Facebook when I scroll through really quick, and I read like this thing about Willy Wonka the other day about how it was acted. This is completely Infinity unrelated, obviously, but I am a purist. I cannot.
So you are the Gene Wilder.
Yes, I can't. That Johnny Depp abortion. I can't. I don't even know what that was.
No, see, that was Charlie the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. That's just like saying if you click on like Pornhub or something and watch like Charlie and she's the girl in the Chocolate Factory, a XXX story. Okay, and it's her and a bunch of like huge hung dudes. Like, I'm sorry, no. Like that doesn't count. It's entertaining, but it doesn't count. No. So they actually had a thing where he apparently to get the kids to be surprised in Willy Wonka, according to this report, they didn't know who Willy Wonka was going to be, who the actor was going to be played by. So the scene where he comes out of the factory, that's the first time they ever saw Gene Wilder.
Oh, that's
and he walked with a limp to gain sympathy, and he did that whole thing. That was actually his idea, so that they would go, oh my God, and so that was the whole thing. So most of the scenes with Gene Wilder, the kids never knew who was going to be in it. They had a script, but they didn't know what was going to happen, so that they could actually get a real childlike response from the kids. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I think we were looking some stuff up before, because we actually watched that one a couple weeks back, and the kid who played Charlie, that was like the only thing he ever did.
Yeah. I saw that. He gave up. He had like a big studio deal or something, and he was like, I'm just going to go be a kid now. Like,
yeah, I think he actually became a vet or something. I don't remember. Right.
Yeah, I think you're right. No. I have tons of useless information like that too. I'm glad there's a fellow.
Yeah.
So we share.
Random.
Wow, there was just you guys can't see it because it's radio.
We're holding hands.
Yes, there's a rainbow.
Well, there is
a
a rainbow.
unicorn in the background, and it's just dancing
actually,
along
it would
a
probably
river
not
of
be
chocolate.
unicorn. Yeah, I was gonna say there you go.
Yeah. This magic moment.
I also did notice, because Thor Ragnarok is on Netflix
Yes,
now.
it is. I did.
And then the scene where he gets Thor's captured, and then he's going on the chair. And
I was thinking, wait. Spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen it. And if you haven't, I don't really. Never mind. You don't deserve a spoiler
It's
alert.
out long enough. You don't have. to
Yeah,
That's true. Okay, yeah.
Because there is another Marvel MCU movie that has come out since then.
That's true. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, Black Panther's pretty good.
Yeah. And so is Infinity War.
Yeah, there's two movies. Oh my God.
Deadpool too. That's out.
Yeah.
Come on, Rob. So, anyways, when Thor's on the chair being like taken to meet the, oh God, what's he called?
Stan Lee.
No,
The
guy that-
Collector? Or not
No,
the
not the
Collector.
collector. It's the guy that's in charge of that planet.
We're gonna call him guy in charge of the planet because we're
Jeff
both
Goldblum.
Jeff
Yes, we're
Goldblum's
Jeff
character,
Goldblum,
yeah. That's they're playing Willy Wonka's the song
Mhm.
behind it, and it literally just dawned on me. I'm like watching it, and I'm like, oh my god, I know that song.
I know that.
All right. So Rob, you have a little news on the Hobby Streak front,
Yes,
right?
on the Hobby Streak. So I've seen several people, from England to Panama to Chicago, here in Kansas City, people are posting on the Hobby Streak aspect. So I'm going to post a contest rule for some prize support that we got from a 3D printing company, M3DPD Printing, and there are some nice little spherical scatter terrain aspects. And the way that the contest is going to work is you're going to post pictures to the Facebook page, and then at the end of the contest, probably the next recording, say in July, we're going to do random.org, and the number of streak days that you have is going to be your tickets, so to speak. And then we're going to punch the button, and then the top 4 random drawn people are going to get some prize support.
All right. So let's say you have a Hobby Streak of 10 days,
Yep.
and then you miss a day, and then start over again. So now you get to 5 days. So is that
10.
10 or
Yep.
15?
It's the best. It's the
It's the
best
best.
Hobby
Best
Streak
of
you've
the
got.
tournament. Okay.
It's the best. It's the best that you've gotten. And I'm gonna throw out another contest gauntlet.
Oh.
If the gauntlet is going down, okay.
Okay.
I want to know if anybody can beat Rob's Hobby Streak. Period. This contest is going to go until the end of the year. Rob, what is your number right now?
128.
128 currently right now. Okay? Rob's going to keep going. You guys can start now if you'd like and try to catch up. The winner of said contest, I will buy you any starter you want. Any take. Let's get started. Like a U.S. Ariadne. Yeah, I mean, if you want the Frenchies, if you can find the Frenchies. Too soon. I don't know. We don't get enough trolls on our page. I'm trying to get somebody. That'd be amazing. So anything like that, basically a $50 value, or
US
less.
dollar.
Yeah, $50 US dollars. We will buy it and we will ship it off to you if you can beat Rob's Hobby Streak. This is the Beat Rob's Hobby Streak initiative. I want to see somebody do it because I swear to God, if you're not part of the Kansas City hobby thing, these dudes are nuts.
Yeah, because
nuts.
there's 2 or 3 people that are ahead of me in
Yeah.
the Hobby Streak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
and they're pushing like 200 days of
Yeah.
straight hobby time,
Yeah.
30 minutes a day or more.
yeah, and it has to be 30 minutes or more, and you have to post a picture. So if any part of your Hobby Streak you forgot a picture, we will be looking. We'll look through your threads. Just post it. We'll be kind of following along. It has to be posted on our page.
Yep.
And if you can top Rob's number, and when Rob finally falls off because he travels or does something, which I don't think he ever does.
He travels. He just makes people take his
Yeah.
his stuff for
That's
him.
true.
So
No,
he flies.
I noticed that. I'm like, is he at Bug Eater? What's he doing? Is he in his room hobbying?
Yep.
There's people there. Rob, socialize.
Nope.
He's like that basement gamer. Like, come on, bro. Like, step out. So if you can beat Rob,
Sunshine, it burns my skin.
The lighting burns.
it burns. So if you can beat Rob, you will get yourself a new faction. So good luck to anybody trying this.
Anybody listening?
Anybody listening? Good luck. I wish you.
Now, with that being said, my wife is on your side. Because since January 1st, my New Year's resolution is to, hang out with my wife every Thursday. And so Thursdays are the day that you can beat me. That is my weak spot.
Yeah,
so
well,
there is
that's what she
one
said.
That's what she said. Thursday's in my weak spot. Is that what her name is? Thursday?
Well, I was going off. That's the days you could beat me.
So when Rob's streak ends, there will be much rejoicing in the land, but he will start up again. So
yeah.
you have to beat Rob's best for this year. So good luck. There are a couple of people that have been posting, and they're in hobby streaks 7, 8, 10, 11. So I think once you get started, it's pretty good. I would have done this contest beat Randy, but I think anybody can beat 2, which is pretty much about as good as I ever get. So
Randy, we may be able to talk people into sending us bribes, and we can go and just distract Rob for
Oh my God.
throw his streak.
That's true.
Just show up at his house and just hold him down.
Yeah. Just
No.
yeah. If you key Rob's car or slash his tires, he might not get home till super late. And if he posts a picture 12:01, that's it. The streak's over. It's just a new. It's a new day, sucker.
Yeah.
I can just talk to the boss and say, "Hey, tell Rob that this came from Brazil and they rejected things."
Brazil. Nothing bad about the people of Brazil, but your health authority. Good Lord. They got issues.
Here we go.
Yeah. Don't get us talking about work.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting week. So, all right, let's take a little pause. We're at about 15 or so minutes now, so let's take a little pause and then come back with the rule of the episode.
Yeah,
And a
Alexa,
short-
hit pause.
Yeah, a short musical interlude.
All right, and we're back. I really wish we would have been recording during that break because Randy apparently has a knack for making up songs. A gift, if you would,
yes.
of making up songs. And he just sang us one that literally, not figuratively, literally brought a tear to my eye. I was laughing so hard.
As Randy is wiping a tear from his eye. It is that funny.
But you guys were laughing, and it made me laugh, and I was like, okay, because the only time I ever do that is either like in surgery where everybody's just kind of like, they don't want to give me the satisfaction of laughing, because when they do, they know that I'm just gonna keep going. And my wife, who is immune to this now, she doesn't care. She's like,
whatever.
So like, if there's a song on the radio, I will turn all the lyrics to me.
Yeah.
I will make it, and I generally usually make it sexual. So it's usually
that's my gift as well. And
Yeah.
my
Making
wife,
it sexual?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have my wife hates it, but I have a saying, and I've actually passed it off to Rob. Rob now uses it too. So that one too. I did that when we went to the lake, and I just looked at her and go, Laura, Roadhouse. God damn it. So anyways, I like to make jokes, right? And
I did not know that.
And I will make a joke, and my Lord's like, that is not funny. And my team at work were like, what are you doing? I'm like,
Oh yeah.
and I'll laugh, and I go, most of the time I'm making the joke so I can laugh. So to me, 100% of my target audience found it funny. So it's got to narrow it down, because my wife was like, oh, so now I'll make a joke, and she'll look at me and go, 100% of my target audience, and I'll just walk away. So she's like, oh.
Everybody else likes it. You're weird. Yeah, I tell my wife she's not funny. She's unfunny. Like, you're not funny. And she's like, I am very funny. And I'm like, you're not funny at all. Like, do you have a personality? Like, I married like just a sweet person with no but apparently to her credit, like when you're the butt of the joke, I guess that is not funny. Like, it's hard to laugh at when, and my wife's thing that she hates is I always look at her and she'll say something like, your mom, and she's like, oh my God, enough. Like, she literally counts it. She's like, you've hit 5 for the day. And I usually hit 5 by like 9 a.m. on a Saturday. So she'll be like, hey, are you up? Well, your mom is. She'll be like, all right, 1. She's like, hey, did you make any coffee? Your mom made me coffee this morning. And she's just like, what the fuck, dude? Is everything?
What's wrong with
Yeah, is everything? Like, she's like, are you tired? Yeah, your mom's tired now. She's like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Giggity, giggity. Oh, my sweet. She's like, oh, dude, just, okay, you're not getting any again. And I'm like, well, your mom got
You're like, well, if it's already been cut off, yep. I'm burning this thing up.
Yeah. No, that's there was I saw this, and it was a joke, and it was like, so I was laying at home in bed with my wife, and we were watching Cinemax come on. There was a little sex scene, a little something. And so, no, I'm sorry. That wasn't. I just ruined the joke. I literally just ruined the joke because I said the wrong lines. So I want to say it again. I don't even want this edited out. I failed as a jokester. I'm going to tell the joke again. Okay.
All right. Take a breath. Okay.
Okay. So there's a the Randy says. So there is a So there's a couple, and they're watching Who Wants to Make a Millionaire, okay? And the husband's getting all jazzed. I guess Regis Philbin, turns that button for him. I don't know, or maybe the $1 million. And so he looks at his wife. He's like, "Hey, babe, it's go time." And so his wife's like, "I don't think so, bub." He's like, "Come on, babe, give me some." And she's like, "No." He's like, "All right, can we play a game?" She's like, "That's fine." He's like, "Okay, well, I want to phone a friend then." And that's when the fight started. I don't know why I always look at that, and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how I can work that in with my wife, because I know she's never read this, and I just figured that if I can make that into a mom joke too, like. Oh, you're just. I'm just waiting. Can I phone a mom?
the two jokes collide, make the epicenter of the ultimate.
And it's funny that all three of us have the same quote unquote gift and or problem with our wives, because the rule of the episode is impetuous. Things that you can't control.
Did you see that segue? I mean, it took us a while to get there, but Rob really reels back in.
Oh yeah, segue. Like segue. we and to your credit, I wasn't even thinking about I forgot what the rule of this was. I don't have Rob failed this week.
I failed,
and he did not do his secretarial duty.
I know.
I mean, Rob is secretary, editor, videographer, key grip boy, fluffer.
I've got the grip and the fluff.
He does.
I mean,
Screaming Eagle.
We're probably going to have to bring this up in his year-end review.
Yeah, we're going to have to. You know what?
Because that's going on right now.
Make a note. Make a note. For our January 1st episode. This date in history is going to
for season 3.
Yeah.
Season 3.
And Ryan actually wrote down Rob on a piece of paper. You made the list, buddy. You made the list.
All right.
Okay, so the rule of the episode: impetuous orders. Impetuous orders. Okay, so Rob, in your own words, sir, giving 3 sentences or less.
Oh shit.
Impetuous order.
So there are multiple levels of impetuous orders.
1 sentence.
I was thinking the same thing.
Extremely impetuous has to be canceled with an order.
Maybe we should step it back a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, you have used all your sentences. Rob, you are fired. How's it going? Do I want to do like
he doesn't do that anymore. He's president now.
Oh, no, he's not. He hasn't been voted in yet. And I don't know if I want to do my Donald Trump fired, if I want to do my Vince McMahon fired. Rob, you're fired. Or you're fired. Which one do you think?
Second.
The second?
You should do the Arnold Schwarzenegger when you replace him.
You're fired.
I'm fired.
You're terminated.
Terminated.
You've been terminated. Okay, so Rob's terminated. So Ryan, in 6 or 7 paragraphs or less.
I get sentences.
All right, in an hour and a half.
In an hour and a half, can you please tell us what an impetuous order is? And before we actually got this, so every time we do a show, okay, so I'm the guy that knows nothing about amenity. Like every time I play, I'm like, so I really don't know the rules, and this has been going on for years. You think at some point I would pick up a rule book, right? No, I don't. I just like whatever. I'm the babe in the woods. And we sit down and we'll go, so what are you guys going to do for a show topic or rule of the episode? And Rob's like, let's talk about link teams. Is a rule? Yeah, like link teams. Let's talk about it. Okay, so for the next 7 episodes, we'll talk about link teams. No. We'll just here's what a link team is, and we'll just name them. Okay, so what are we going to do for the rest of the hour? And Brian's like, so what else are we doing? And we're like, well.
We would fill it, though.
Yeah.
So
well, that's true.
So, Ryan.
I mean, we're at 7.5 minutes of this segment, and I think we've announced what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So if you want to know about impetuous orders, please click to minute 25:36.
So, Ryan, in the multiple paragraphs that you are allowed from Randy.
All right, so first, an impetuous order is an order assigned to a trooper, just like your regular order or an irregular order. It is specific to that trooper, like an irregular order. So your regular order pool, those regular orders go into a pool you can spend on anybody.
Go on.
And an irregular order is assigned to that specific trooper. It can't be used for other people. There's rules around that, but whatever.
Right.
But an impetuous order works the same way. It's assigned for that specific trooper. Now, under impetuous, there are a couple different. There are just the impetuous order, and then there's extremely impetuous. Now, both of these are under the rule
frenzy.
No, fury.
Fury.
Frenzy is
Rob,
under that.
You're fired.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, what it means is this is it. Like this is like your soldier that's all like hyped up and excited, and he's like and mad dash. You know, just
How-
heard the
how was
break.
that?
That
Just-
sounds like me. That sounds like me when I was like 22 after like a,
That was my that's my mad
after a
dash.
bender.
I'm done. I'm
after a
out.
12 pack.
Yeah. So like think of it. You just got the Braveheart speech. You know, Mel Gibson just threw a sword and you're all running off, crazy like, all willy nilly with no
Freedom.
Okay.
With
I
no
just want you
pantaloons.
to know. I just want you to know that right now you I'm holding this in right now because we had a conversation about turning things, right? And you brought up a sword, throwing your sword, and then willy nilly. And I want you to know that my mind is off of infinity now, and all I can picture is
Scott's running across the field, buck ass naked.
All right, you know what?
Randy always thinks about that.
I want to play Caledonians now. That's it. I changed my. We're changing.
I think we've discovered why we can't do this when we're all sitting in the same
Yeah.
room.
I don't. I will say this: that it's hot in here right now, and I am starting to get ab sweat. I'm so fat that I'm getting ab sweat. So if you're ever sitting there going, God, am I fat or not? If you're in a room with people and you get ab sweat, you've hit fatness.
All right. Okay, so basically you think of it as an additional order. Every troop that has Impetuous of some kind actually generates in either a regular or an irregular order. So that trooper is essentially generating 2 orders. The AC just kicked on, by the way, if you heard that in the sound. But so that trooper basically spins that order and he does, an order like normal, except for one of his short skills has to be a movement skill, and it has to be.
I believe it is the first.
Maybe it is the first.
Yeah, the first movement skill has to be towards the closest enemy.
Nope, it does not. Just one of them has to be a movement skill.
Really?
Yep, I got it right here.
Awesome.
You can move and activate, or activate and move. Uh-oh.
I'm getting a look from Robbie. He knows what's coming. I think he's.
He's anticipating the firing.
Am I supposed to do the other one now?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, I'm gonna whisper. Rob. You're fired. I do like the Vince McMahon one. It feels good.
It's
It feels
guttural.
good. Yeah, it is.
It's visceral.
All right.
Guttural.
So let's-
Guttural.
Visceral.
God damn it.
Guttural.
Again, Rob.
What the hell?
Visceral.
What is
Seriously.
Somebody turn off
What's
this
up with
mic.
this guy?
I know. It's
No.
visceral. It's visceral?
Yeah.
It's guttural because you can feel it in your gut, Rob. Like when you give a wrong answer, we can feel it in our guts going, you're the war core. What the hell's going on here?
I'm wearing my war core shirt.
When you got up, I was like, this motherfucker's wearing a war core shirt and he's getting this. I mean, and you know what the problem is? And you know what's even worse? Is that I'm agreeing with you. He's like, I think it's got to be the first one. I'm like, I think so too. Because I want to be the smart kid too. So what did we learn, boys and girls? Listening to Rob or being a follower is bad, okay?
Or Rob just didn't prepare this week because work has been kicking his ass.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, back to the rule. And now that we are 12 minutes into this, all right. So, anyways, it has to move towards the enemy. Now, it is towards the nearest enemy, even if it can't see it. So as
Yep.
long as it's not in a marker state, it's got to move towards that nearest enemy. So, if you've got a guy that's 4 inches in front of you, or 4 inches in front of you, but he's building between you, and another guy who is like 12 inches to the side, and you got a straight line of sight, you're still moving towards that 4-inch dude. All right, that's what she said. So there are 2 things about the Impetuous orders, or people that drain the Fury rule, is they can't get cover. They can never take cover, right? So even if you're up against the wall, you've been against the wall the whole time. If you've got Impetuous or Fury, you're not taking cover. You can't get that cover bonus, right? So it doesn't really do you any good.
Is that just on that
Nope.
that
The
movement
whole
phase?
game.
So the whole game. So you never have cover. So period. The end. You
Yeah.
can never have it.
Correct.
Okay.
And then if you have just Impetuous, you can choose not to take that order. You can just say, I'm not going to use it, right? And just move it away.
See, this is what they I always used to get this wrong with Pentelesia, is that, and I used to think that the army builder was lying to me about orders, because I would see 10 orders and then I would see the Impetuous order. I thought the Impetuous order was the order, period, the end. I didn't realize you got 10 orders, and then you have this Impetuous order that you are allowed to use. So it actually brings you to 11 orders.
No.
So I don't know if we talked about that enough, but if you are just starting and you look at it, you get an order for your model, and
it
you
will
get
be
that.
it will be a regular or irregular order depending on the
Right.
model
So you
profile.
get both.
Yep.
So it's important to know that when you make your list builds, if you do like a specialized list and you have 10 models. I use like, okay, I have 10 models. Every model gets an order. Oh my gosh, I can only have 10 orders. You could have more than.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So
And in Infinity's Army Builder,
Yeah.
it will show that your order pool and then your Impetuous orders
Yeah.
and your regular orders.
yeah, and if you're like me, which don't be like Randy, don't be Randy. But I would actually look at that and go, okay, there's 10, and then the Impetuous, and then I'd go, well, that means the Impetuous takes the place of, and so I was making it more complicated than it really needed to be.
Yeah.
So
So the other part of that is the extremely impetuous ones. You can cancel those two and not use those, but if you want to do that, you actually have to spend a regular order from your order pool. So essentially, if you don't want your Dotarazi to run straight at this opponent because you know he's going to get smoked, well, you're going to spend his impetuous order, or extremely impetuous,
Yep.
and a regular order to
From
not
your
do
pool.
that. So it is very order intensive to hold your crazies back, right? Now the other piece to that is, for instance, Dotarazi can be a link team, and so if you have them in a link team, they're no longer impetuous. The link team cancels that impetuous, so they don't get those extra impetuous orders. So if you have a 5-man Dotarazi link team, right, they're just getting 5 regular orders. Versus if you have 5 Dotarazi just on the table, they're adding 5 regular orders to the pool, and they
5
each get their own extremely
extremely
impetuous orders. So essentially, that's 10 orders.
okay.
So
So here's my question. Here's my question about impetuous orders. So if you're hiding behind a building, okay,
Yep.
and you measure to the nearest model because you have to measure to the nearest model. You can pre-measure, and for this you have to know the.
you'd have to know which one.
You'd have to know it's closer. So you measure to it, and you're standing behind a building, and the closest model is catty quarter to the building. So if you can picture, there's a building, a square, and you're on the corner of said building, and the nearest.
You have to go the path that will get you there the quickest.
Okay, so is that up and over the building, or is that around the building?
So you wouldn't climb. Well, I guess you could.
Well, I mean, so my end question is this: so would the answer to that question be, you have to finish your movement as close as possible to the enemy unit?
You would have to take the path that would get you to that model in the least amount of orders. So if you could go around the building in 2 orders, versus say you to climb the building takes you 3 orders, you would go around. But if climbing the building gets you there in 1 orders, but around the building gets you in 2, you'd have to climb.
Okay.
Or if you have like a devil dog with super jump,
Yeah.
the super jump could take you up.
Okay.
That full,
That's
movement.
where it gets really risky when you have models that have like super jump and things like that, because he's just going to leap over a building, and as we all know, when you jump up on top of a building, and there's a whole lot of arrows that typically come at you. for
Right.
those things.
I'm bringing it up so that if you're a person that's learning how to bait, maybe you're past the beginning stages of it, and you're learning how to bait models, and you actually know what other things do, and you know that this model is impetuous, and this model has this. When you're looking at their sheet, now you know that if I want to get maximum effect to lure out a model that I might not be able to deal with, one way to do it is to cheap model. There's an expensive model. It's got to come at me. This crappy, and I'm pulling you into a fire lane.
Yep.
So that's a way to deal with other
Yeah.
models that you might not be able to deal with if you have that expendable troop, or if you know about the impetuous orders and how it works.
Yeah, and then you're also forcing the owner of that impetuous model to like, okay, well, now do I just burn this order?
Yep.
Because I don't want to fall into that bait. So you're kind of stripping them of that resource too. I mean, it is, and that's a valid tactic. I was using it in Mission Critical when we were there, and then I got a little overzealous and threw another guy out. And I'm like, oh crap, that dude's closer. So you're actually going to go away from this missile launcher, Panzerfaust, heavy machine gun, AROS, death
Link
train
team.
I had set up.
Right. And we've talked before about, and I wouldn't, we talk a lot about before about how we're okay with, you're trying to not be seen. Order spending is a little bit different to me, as far as if you choose to use that impetuous order and you didn't see my model, you're not paying attention, even though you see that model and you don't realize that that's the closest, I'm not necessarily going to let you take that back, because you decided that you were going to use that impetuous order because that's a strategy for you. I've set this up to either you can't use it, and now you've lost that 11th order, or order above and beyond, and now I'm making you choose to do. So you have to be very careful if you're using impetuous orders. Like, hey, take the second, because you have to use it first, right? You have to use all your impetuous orders.
All your impetuous are going to go before your regular or regular.
Okay.
Regular pool, yeah.
So when you go to use it, when you go to spend it, like, hey, I'm using my impetuous order. Okay, what are you doing with it? And then somebody starts moving. You take a second, because I'm guilty of it too. I'm taking my impetuous order, and usually I go, okay, impetuous, and I just I have an idea in my head of what I'm going to do, and I scream up the side of the board. Whoa. No. That's not. You don't get to do what you want with the impetuous order. You got to come over here.
Yep.
And I think most really good Infinity players, when they see impetuous orders on the flanks, they know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
They know you're trying to go around them, and they'll throw some schmucky TO camo or infiltrator in the middle of the board somewhere. Like, well, there's. Go ahead. Yeah.
You're heading to that guy.
Yeah. Head towards the middle. So.
Yeah, and it's I think in my experience, I really like the Dotarazi. They are extremely impetuous, but they've also got smoke and a really high physique.
Yeah.
So I'll set them up, and as you get more experienced, a lot of times when people are deploying, they're deploying people right on the line, moving up or like in cover as close as they can. Well, a lot of times I will deploy the Dotarazi back a little bit, so that even if they do lunge forward, they're 4 inches, they may only be like an inch or so out of my deployment zone, typically still behind a building, and then I'm chucking a smoke grenade.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. And then you have their order to actually follow up. We'll eventually have episodes where we talk about deployment and some videos coming shortly about how do we deploy, and we'll discuss some of these things. But that's a great idea of how to mitigate your impetuous orders and your extremely impetuous orders. Is you have to think about that. A lot of people come from other gaming systems where being on the the start line is a tactic. It's because you got to get to your objectives as fast as possible. Infinity to me is you don't really want to be on that objective turn one, because you're going to get moved off of that objective. It's more about get your points when you get your points, because Infinity most of the time isn't a kill every model on the table thing. It's I need to get more points than you, and this is how I go about doing it.
Yeah. And a lot of those type of instances are going to be mission specific.
Yeah.
Because it could be game round is when you're counting up those points, or it could be the end of the game, and that changes things. So you may not want to be on that start line at the very beginning, because your game is going to be scored at the end of the round or end of the game.
Yeah, that's if you're on a little side note there, as you're reading the ITS rules, that's something to pay attention to. When is it scored?
Yeah.
Because I don't even remember what scenario it was, but I did the math. I'm like, you can only get like 7 points.
I remember you.
And I looked at it, and I looked at it, and I looked at it, and I just could not. I was like, this doesn't make sense. And so I actually posted the GC, and I'm like, what am I missing? And somebody's like, scored game round. I'm like, oh, duh. Okay, because I was like, I was literally like, I don't get this. What am I missing?
No, it's funny you said it, because I read it, and I was like, I think he's missing this. I was like, man, I'm not saying anything, because I'm not going to be that guy anymore. Like, whatever. I'm keeping my thoughts to myself on these.
I literally posted it, and within like 15 seconds of me posting it, one of our local guys sent me a message, game round, and I'm like, damn it,
damn it.
So there is one other piece to the Impetuous that I think we should at least talk about, and that is, actually the Fury rule is frenzy.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are models that are frenzied. They don't start Impetuous.
Nope.
Right? They start as normal dudes, just hanging out. Rob is giving Randy a really weird look right now.
Myrmidons.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So once the model then kills something, does a wound to the model, it then becomes Impetuous.
Right.
So at that point, we'll add the Impetuous order from there on out. Now, models in a linked team do not suffer from the Impetuous or Frenzy, or benefit either way, depending on how you want to look at it. So even if they kill a model or wound a model, if they're in the link team, they don't kick on their Frenzy state. They have to be out of the link team to have that kick on. So then if the link team breaks and then they wound a model, they will become Frenzy after that.
Okay.
Right? So it's not like you have to, I have this link team of 5 dudes. This guy's wounded somebody, this guy's wounded somebody, this guy's wounded somebody. Oh, the link team breaks. Now these 3 are Frenzy.
Which goes back to the Dotarazi that you were talking about, because that's a nice tactic, is keep them in a link team, move them up, break the link team, and then you've got the...
I started that way when I was playing them, and I actually prefer just spreading them out across the table. Because one list I had 5 Dodorazi and 2 Crackot Renegades, all of which have Impetuous or Extremely Impetuous. And so essentially, I've got 6 orders I'm spending, and I do all that, and all these people rush forward. I'm like, okay, now onto my order pool. And then you've got like 10 orders, and it's really... It was like, there's just so many orders. Just so many orders. There's a podcast that had a guy on who plays... and his list had 30-some orders in it because it had 6 Dodorazi.
Was that White Noise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had 12 Dodorazi, I think. It was insane. I was just like, oh. He had 2. He takes 6 in one combat group and 6 in the other combat group, I think.
I could see how that would overwhelm a player that doesn't know what to do with it. I could see how that would just be a very fast game, though, if somebody knows how to deal with it, and you somehow get a infiltrated marker inside of a building with no line of sight. Okay, I'm not going to start.
Remember, it's gotta be
no.
marked.
What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean marker. I'm saying an infiltrated troop.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be in marker state. I'm just going to sit here.
Well,
Okay,
and you
come on.
can set, if you set up like you said, you got an infiltrator dude set up, and then you set up a MSV sniper kind of behind him in line, and so they all run towards that dude, and the sniper goes, and you're dead, and you're dead, and you're dead. Is definitely something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it's weird. When we'll talk about this when we get to the list building. Is when you have an idea, that sounds like the list of this is what I'm going to do, and by God, all the eggs are going in this basket.
I will say that when I listen to it, I'm like, it would be fun to run. I don't really want to buy that many more Dodorazi. But that would be kind of cool to run.
Good on you for spending that kind of cash, dude. Like,
Well, and he actually said that they're all different. Like didn't want all the same model, so he did arm swaps and weapon swaps and
no,
stuff
that's
like
great.
that.
No,
So
I mean
awesome.
that's a cool hobby project, and that's a cool this is what I want to play, and I'm going to play it, and whatever it is, what it is. Those are fun things to me, so I like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, it is a neat way because again, Impetuous and Extremely Impetuous they have a great balance of being an extra resource, but there's also here's what you're paying. These guys are not going to get cover, right? They are not. They are going to march towards the enemy. There's no holding them back, right?
Right. And typically you find the Impetuous or the Fury rule on motorcycles.
Yeah.
And motorcycles can have for Ariadne Molotovs or light rocket launchers or something.
I messed a guy up with motorcycles. He had 3 of the motorcycle dudes and Yojimbo, and I actually got a mine based on the scenario. I had a mine that places a camo marker. I can infiltrate it. And I actually made the roll, so I infiltrated it literally in the middle of those motorcycles. So he goes his Impetuous order, and he moves the first one. Boom, mine. Took out like 3 of them.
Oof.
Yeah, it was harsh. And now, granted, that was like special objective scenario driven. It's not.
Sure.
I don't know of anybody that has mines that you can do that with, but I found it very humorous because I knew I was like, oh, you got a bunch of bikes, okay. So let's see if I can make this. See if I can make this physical roll. Oh, I do. Okay, well, that Camo Toka standing right there in the middle of your deployment, but that's all right, or right outside your deployment. But yeah. All right, I mean that's a pretty good. Again, there's a lot of you need to go in and read, the rules for Impetuous, but that's basically how it works. If you have an Yon-Yons, which are airborne deployment, that have Impetuous rule, or Impetuous or Extremely Impetuous,
extremely.
I mean, that's the first thing is you're bringing on your drop troop. It's not like you're holding him back and all right, turn 3, surprise. It's
Right.
nope.
Nope, he's coming out first round.
First part of turn 1, you're putting him on the table, right?
Yeah.
And then, you have all the same short skills you can do, activate, attack, dodge, idle, but one of those is going to have to be a move or a move action. So, a full order to climb, full order to jump, but it's going to be a move, and it's going to be a move towards the nearest enemy model.
Okay. Well, I mean, it works. I mean, so there is Impetuous orders, Extremely Impetuous, and Frenzy. In a nutshell. Well,
Yeah.
in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, we decided when we were doing these rules episodes, we weren't just going to read the rule verbatim. We kind of wanted to discuss the rule and talk about it. So, I mean, I'm sure there's some little nuances and some extra little things we're probably not going to cover, but we want to give people the idea of these rules too. So
Yeah,
so
no, I like it. No, it's good. It's good.
All right, should we take another little musical interlude and then interlude? That's right.
Wow.
Woo.
Wow. So the entire time Rob's talking about an impetuous order, he's talking about himself.
Yeah, and he's
Boy,
lubing
is
himself
his
up.
wife. Boy, is his wife gonna get something when she gets home? Holy moly, I'm impetuous, baby.
She
I
was
can't
only
believe-
gone for 3 days, man.
God bless, bro.
So, all right. All right, so let's take a little break, and then we'll come back with some games we played and talk about list building. And we're back again, everybody. We may have some outtakes for this episode. We'll have to see
Oh,
here.
the cutting room floor is going to be filled.
So, all right. So the next part we want to talk about is games played. Now we're going to shrink this down into instead of all of us going and just kind of do a event wrap up. Let's just say.
Yeah.
So Rob and I were gracious enough to attend the Bug Eater GT.
Gracious
Gracious,
enough.
yeah.
Wow.
We were
Wow.
lucky enough that
Yeah,
there was.
that's what I was looking for. I was like, wow, gracious.
Wow.
Like,
We were gracious of. Thank you for gracing the Bug Eater with your presence.
yeah, sorry.
We showed up, the doors open,
Sorry.
silver trumpets
Sorry,
sounded,
Tim. Didn't mean-
doves were flying.
I mean, I did get a pretty warm welcome when I showed up. So, anyways, Rob went up on Friday
Yep.
and played in Saturday's ITS event. I was not able to make that. So I actually got up at 5 a.m. on Sunday and drove up to play in Sunday's Infinity event. We tried to drag Randy along. I think it was even like midnight on Sunday
That he
morning.
was still
that I was like,
contemplating.
"What time what time I'm picking you up, Randy? I'm
He
coming
did.
by."
He did say. My wife. My wife was like, just go, and I'm like, I am. So it was the problem with Bug Eater was it's the weekend before I started clinicals up again, and I knew that Sunday we would get back at whatever time, and I had Monday was like 5:30. Here we go again, and I'm like,
I got back at like
no, you did.
9, so I got back pretty early.
I said that to my wife. I said, God, they got back early, and she was like, oh, so you could have went. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, because it was scheduled to end at 6, and it really ended at about 4.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about Saturday and what was going on there, since I was not there.
So Saturday was a 3-game ITS event. Great games. The tables were more challenging than what I was anticipating because the tables themselves had special rules. Like one of the tables had 0G, and I was prepared for it, but I had not intentionally prepared for it because I had a 5-man link team of Minutemen who had multi-train, so they were able to go through that 0G area with little effect.
And that table, because it was still there on Sunday, so that table basically was set up like it was a spaceship corridor, right? So the 0G part was the cargo hold. So it was basically like you were coming in through the docking bay cargo hold part, so that was 0G.
Right.
And then the rest of the table was going along. Now, there were several doors in there, and tags couldn't go through the doors, so you didn't really want to take a tag on that table.
Yeah, although the game that I played Saturday did have a tag. There was a Gorgos. And
Yeah,
it was
you played against Chad.
Yep.
Because I played him on that table on Sunday.
Yep,
and
and
he,
it
but he
was
did not take the Gorgos. So
It was a Gorgos blackjack showdown in this long corridor, and he marched that Gorgos up with a Spitfire and just and
So
my blackjack won.
Did you know? Did you know going into Bug Eater that the tables would have special rules?
No.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it.
How did that add like? I mean, we're never gonna bag on an event. Okay, just so we're clear. We're never going to bag on people at an event, so this is more of a just discussion of what we really think about something, and credit to anybody that puts on an event for people to come and play it, because
Right.
that's epic. But the only way events grow is if you deconstruct it and go, what did you think of it? Is that like I would do that in the future? Strongly agree or strongly like
No.
how do you feel about that?
And that was one of the things that I kind of talked to the TO about was, in the future, letting people know that these are things that you might have. So in other events like Wapaka, Raj has said, terrain, there, a multi-terrain or a jungle terrain or something terrain.
on the narrative, he
Yeah.
even said something like you may want a hacker and a doctor, and like Grant did that when he ran the narrative piece, right? So those things are helpful.
So do you feel like I mean, obviously you had a good time there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it was a good time. I mean, beer, minis. I mean, it's a recipe for
The
success.
downside is it's actually held in a high school, so there's not
There
any
is no
alcohol
drinking.
during. Well, there's not supposed to be any
Is it
alcohol
right?
during
Okay.
those things, but I'm sure people.
I mean, if
Okay.
you did it when you were a high school senior, the same rules still apply.
If you can sneak it, okay.
Wait,
Yeah.
you made it to be a senior?
Yeah, I was
Nice.
a 13-year senior.
Ooh,
13 years
nice.
senior. Rob, by the way, we went to his graduation party for high school last week. Me and Ryan. It was
was epic.
impressive. So I mean, do you overall like?
So many knocked up cheerleaders. Though.
Jesus, it's so. It's
That's
so
how you know the
ridiculous.
cheerleaders.
That's when you do the finger in the water thing. When all the cheerleaders, when you go to the pregnancy camp for the girls, you put the fingers in the water and all the babies get born at once. God, thank you, Family Guy, for that little piece of rehab gold. So, would you run an event with? If you ran an event like that, would you do the surprise like, oh, the tables have a thing? Or because like Steve Herner does that for
Well-
Age of Sigmar, he does Holy Wars that
right.
same way. But would you do that? But you tell people like, hey, just so you know, was that one of those things where you'd be like, we have the following tables are going to be in effect. Prepare.
Well, so I think you've got a couple things, right? It's not necessarily the tables and the terrain and special rules, or the scenarios and what they have you do. It's the combination of the two.
Okay.
Excuse me. So, like, if you, let's just say, hey, all 3 games are going to be frontline, but your tables are going to have X, Y, and Z stuff on it. So at that point, you know the mission. You're not struggling over what's going to go on, what you're going to do. You're then actually, okay, I need to pay attention to what my table does and what my opponent's doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or vice versa. Like, here's your standard table setup as everybody expects. There's nothing special, nothing unusual about it here. And then here's your scenario. So now I'm playing the scenario and my opponent. But when you're playing the table, the scenario, and your opponent, there are times that it gets
Overwhelming.
and things get missed. And you're like, okay, well, my opponent didn't beat me. The table beat me. And that's hard. Now, granted, they're all puzzle pieces that get put together. So I do like for instance, the 0G ship interior table, I actually liked because it gives you different problems to solve.
Right.
And so I think that's really good. I played it on Sunday, and Sunday's tournament was a little different. Sunday's tournament was a limited insertion tournament. And I played decap on Sunday. And my side of the table, there was no way he was getting to my lieutenant easily. Now, it was a very tough game. It literally came down to one model. I either needed to heal one of my models or kill one of his models, and it would have been a victory, or like a 7-4, I think is what it was to Chad. It would have been a 7-4 to me had I either killed or healed one more model. So it was really close. But if you come in and let's just say, a lot of times when I go to tournaments, I Iron Man them. I make one list.
Sure.
Well, no. I typically make 2 lists, but I only ever play one.
Right, because that's what you've play tested. Like, what this list does, and this
Yeah.
one's like the theory.
Well,
of,
It's
think
lazy.
No, I think it's really become me. That's just
Yeah.
kind of like I want to take one list and just see what I can do with this one list, and I think part of it is also that subconscious. Like, if I lose the game and I switch list, is it because I switched list? Damn it! I should have stayed to the same list, right? So, anyways, if you would have taken in, let's just say, like, I really like the Zeodrons for Combined Army, and I took 2 of them when I'm playing on this table. Well, tags can't go through there. I'm like, okay, great. So I'm going to stand here at this doorway and hope you pop your head out so I can do anything. I mean, it really hinders him because on that table, you couldn't come onto my half of the table with a tag. There's no way. There's only doors. The other side, there was a little U hallway around the loading dock, and you could be in the loading dock. But if you started off in the loading dock, you weren't getting out of that. If you started off in that U hallway, you were only running around that U hallway, right, and just kind of poking through doors. So I think you would need to have some rules for the doorway. Is it like, okay, tags can go through this doorway and this doorway, right, and that's it. So they can get to the whole table.
So yeah, that was my first game Saturday against Chad, and then my second game was against Dan Gore, which was a lot of fun.
That was my last game on
Yeah.
Sunday.
Dan from Omaha is a great guy, and he was running his Murder Monkeys, and I just had my way with him.
Oh yeah, I did too. I felt bad for I felt bad for Dan.
Yeah, there was an Airborne Ranger that came on, and then Van Zant came on, and it was just like, oh, that sucks.
I played Dan, and we played Biotech Vor.
Oh, God.
Yeah, oh God. Which, by the way, never played
Yeah.
Biotech Vor is the worst tournament mission.
Giving another shout out to White Noise, didn't they have somebody on that said, Biotech 4 was the least played mission.
No, the least played mission was Comm Center.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was Heloise.
Oh,
Who's the
Heloise.
guy who's in charge of ITS for Corpus Belli. So, by the way, we also, as you know, Rob and I listen to other podcasts. So,
Yeah.
you're out there. We're stealing things from you.
Yeah.
Steal away, guys,
or learn from our mistakes.
or learn
Yeah,
from your
learn from our
mistakes.
mistakes.
If you could educate my two co-hosts, they do not know their shit.
Yeah, so like Biotech Vor, Dan and I were both laughing because the Biotech Vor did more wounds to me than Dan did, and it did wounds to knights, hospital knights, and magistrate knights who both have high BTS, and it did like 5 wounds to like 6 knights on my first turn because the table I was at, again, the table I played on in Biotech 4 are not compatible. They're just really not, and like unless I'm just going to send my stuff out in the open, which Dan had to do with his Yaugat Harris, which a Yaugat Harris is a really tough unit. So Yaugats are medium infantry, MSV2, Morats, right? And he had, I think, the Spitfire and the Harris guy. I don't remember, the boarding shotgun guy, maybe.
Yeah.
But he actually had them clumped and out in the open. Well, if I'm playing Pano and I'm playing military orders, you're going to guarantee that there's going to be there's going to be a Black Friar in there who has albedo. So I spent, and this is the reason why I took.
So before you go, what's albedo?
Albedo think of it as a smoke grenade for MSV, so it's white noise, right?
Okay.
But only for that model, like so they can't see him. That's basically screwing with their optics, right?
Oh wow, okay.
So
Yeah.
basically, I spent a ton of orders. I spent a ton of orders on that guy, which is why my knights took so many wounds because I didn't have enough orders to get him out of the Biotech board all the way, even though I thought I had. I spent a bunch of orders getting him up there and literally got him in a good range with his multi-rifle, peeked him out, and then, burst 3 shocked 2 of his league team. And there's like, he tried to do something and he'd be like, yeah, nope, I can't, nope. And he missed all his rolls and I just blink.
Yep.
And until the other guy's like, I'm going to leave that guy because I now need to move.
Because in my game against Dan, that's pretty much what I did was just plinked all his specialists. So I had Rosie with the light rocket launcher was able to take out one of his specialists straight out. Airborne Ranger came in, took out one of his nurse worms. Van Zant came in, took out his doctor worm.
Yep.
And so,
Yeah. Looking back on it afterwards, what Dan should have done, and I didn't realize, he took the Dire Foes on Yak chick, right?
Oh, right.
She has EM grenades, and she was
that would've wrecked your world.
She was within range of my knights, and he should have just been spending all his orders speckling fire because he was down in this ditch.
Oh.
She should have just been speculating fire and chucking over. And I don't play her, so I didn't really know, and so I knew she had smoke grenades, but it was like, if you EM could have just shut me down and just set me sitting there in the Biotech war.
Yep.
But and I made some rolls, like when he was trying to shoot my piddly dudes with his big badass dude. I'd make the roll. Okay, well that's a crit dodge there, or that's a crit with my combi rifle.
And then my third game was against Chris B, and it was Rescue for Saturday. And
Rescue is another hard one.
It is, and so I deployed my blackjack on a tower, and it's a blackjack sniper, and he tried to do everything that he possibly can, but it was suicide missions, just because of the way that I deployed my blackjack sniper, Rosie with the light rocket launcher, and then my 5-man Minuteman link team with 2 AP HMGs and a missile launcher, and so he was trying to run through that alley of death.
So how did you? How many people were there on Saturday?
On Saturday, I think it was 16. 14, 16.
I wasn't even there, and I tried to lead him in, and he still doesn't even know right.
You know the great thing about that was, right, is one, I wasn't paying attention to anything that's going on right now because my phone is way more important than you guys right now at this moment. But seriously, is that
Tiffany sending you pics?
Yeah, she is. And
or her mom.
Yeah. Ding. No.
One for Ryan.
That Ryan. Basically, he just Stockton and Maloned you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when he the whole time, like when he started the question, he looked up at me and then he kind of he pivoted to you and he goes, "So, how many people were there Saturday?" And he knew the correct answer. He was just waiting for you to answer it wrong. Now, we need to work on your delivery of making him look like an ass. We do need to work on that. But
No, I'll do it by myself all day.
That's true.
I work with him. It's like every 15 minutes.
it was great watching Ryan. Like Ryan slow. Ryan. I mean, if you could be here, we're gonna have to start twitching these. Like we're gonna have to have a video camera, and it'll just be on Rob and Ryan, just because like when Ryan gets an idea, you can literally and figuratively see the light bulb go off over his head that he's gonna schmuck somebody, whether it's me or Rob. And this time he got Rob, and he because he looked down, he's looking at his computer, he looked up, looked at me, his eyes kind of got big. He turned to Rob while Rob's talking, and he was like, "So, how many people were there on Saturday?"
I was trying to lead in. I was like, here's your softball, Rob. But apparently, some swing and a miss, Rob.
Swing and a miss.
Well, so you said that. A funny segue is I had some people over on Thursday night to play a Zombicide game, and one of them was one of the guy who works for me. He's on my team, and I was like, "Hey, Justin, I want you to come over, right?" And Rob couldn't make it. His wife gave him an ultimatum, and he apparently chose not me.
Yeah, I chose the Infinity Night for the Kansas City area. So,
but anyways. It was a bunch of my old game friends, right, that I've known for a while, including the best man at my wedding. And so there was a lot of, like, innuendo and, like,
Sure.
just setting people up and, dinner. So afterwards we got done, I'm like, so what'd you think? He goes, yeah. He goes, when you and Rob just make eye contact and you both just smirk without saying anything, I totally get that now. I totally know what's going on. And I'm like, yeah. I go, we've been together long enough that you can start a sentence, and the other one you don't have to finish.
You don't have to finish.
Yeah.
You know.
You don't have to have HR involved. You don't have to go. You don't have to actually do the job. Like,
no, there'll be people. Sometimes people will say stuff in meetings or on our team, and Rob and I will just look at each other and just try not to bust up laughing. We're just making literally we're dead staring eye contact, and just seeing what's going on. But it's really funny. But anyway, so there were 14 people there.
Right.
How did you place?
I placed 6th.
It's pretty good.
Ooh,
It's not bad.
Wow, that is good
top,
for you.
Top 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Nice.
All right. And then obviously went out.
Yep.
Grant was at Bug Eater, but he played another game. But it was nice seeing Grant because I
Yep,
got to see him on Sunday.
Yep, it was good to see Grant. 'Cause Saturday night we went out with the Wiggles and Grant, and we had beers.
Das Boots.
Das Boots. And it was good German beer.
Yep. And then on the store is starting to open up. Oh yeah, we are recording in our local store shop.
Yep.
Yeah. So shout out to Tabletop
Yep.
in Kansas City. If you're in the KC area, they have a huge selection of stuff, and their game room is. We're in their game room.
The staff
cavernous.
kind of sucks, but
Yeah.
that's all right.
I mean, if you want unfriendly, douchey staff, then you should, no, honestly,
they're in here. They're in here with
Yeah,
us setting
they're-
up table. That's why
yeah,
we're doing
they're
that.
setting tables. But
And telling us that we're number one with one of their
you're-
fingers.
with the finger that's not the index or the pinky. Maybe we should do this week. Maybe we should sit here and wait for the D&D group to show up, and then we can make characters. You know what? Infinity's canceled today, guys. We're gonna play D&D, and we're gonna shipwreck this game. We're gonna make stupid jokes.
I'm gonna play the Dark Elf Paladin.
Blasphemy. There's no such thing, Ryan. There's no such thing. No. No. And
He's gonna use a battle axe too.
you don't have the strength for that. So and you like how we're doing this right now because we're making fun of other nerds. Like we're not nerdy enough that we have a podcast and we play with tabletop games and we spend more money than you would maybe on a used car.
By the way, I've had to correct my wife multiple times. I'm not a nerd.
I'm a geek.
Yeah, I'm a geek. That's the
Okay, so I was like, what's the difference?
So nerdy would be like more intellectual.
It doesn't matter what the difference is. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I saw that one coming. I was like, I'm just going to sit back.
I'm sorry. I've been watching a shit ton of wrestling again. I don't know why. and just so my nerdiness is completely because I'm shut in with studying that I actually purchased the WWE Network and I've been watching old school wrestling stuff again. And so, woo! I'm sorry if I did that in the mic.
Yeah,
and
you jumped way
I
in.
spiked that. So I apologize if you were listening in your car right there because I was close to the mic and I get a little Ric Flaired up. You know what I'm saying? And so I have been watching all this old wrestling. I'm not sure where this puts me in the nerddom or geekdom, but
on that spectrum.
I'm on this. Yeah.
Definitely on the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Right. And you can't make that joke to other people because that's a sensitive thing. But in front of nerds, you need to look at somebody sometimes and go, "Where are you on the spectrum?"
Ultraviolet.
I'm more of an ultraviolet nerd. I'm more of a crystal clear nerd. Perfect. I'm a tangy nerd.
All right, so let's go to Sunday, which was limited insertion, 3 games again.
Yep.
There were 16 people on Sunday's
Yes,
event.
because you and Chris showed up. That's right.
Because I drove up, again, I got up at 5 a.m., drove up in. I was pretty good until it was about an hour outside Omaha, and then I'm like, oh, I'm a little sleepy right here. So
That's called Iowa.
That's called Iowa.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I actually laughed because I'm getting up at Sunday and I'm going to be in 4 different states.
And so for our international listeners, which there are a few, Iowa is
Hi, Danger
known
Rose.
and hi people from England that are also participating in the Hobby Streak. Iowa is known for its corn, as is Nebraska. Missouri is known for soybean and wheat, and Kansas is known for its wheat. Now, each of these states are probably about the size of your country, and that's not a slam on your country. It's just the way that North America
No,
is.
it's a slam on your country.
No,
it's a personal fight. It's a personal
Yeah,
because historically speaking,
Rob
England
challenges all of you.
Rob challenges you to a size contest, and he's gonna lose.
In a
usually.
game of football.
Yeah. And we're bringing pads. No. It is a slam. You know why, Rob?
No, it's
because
not.
at one point, England was huge. Okay, and then they got their asses kicked by everybody. I mean, like.
Oh no.
Oh,
Like,
no. All right.
everybody.
So please send your
Hate mail to
your hate mail. Go to hate mail.
No, the reason I bring that up is because there was a former place that I used to work, and we had colleagues that would come across from Edinburgh, Scotland, and they were like, "Yeah, this weekend I'm going to drive to California." I'm like, "You're not driving to
No,
California.
you're not going there.
Because it's going to take you 8 hours to get to Colorado." What? So it's not a slam. It is just the fact of our geographical location.
Yeah.
So
All right,
3
so
hours in a car will get you into a different state. Not to a coast.
And in 3 hours, depending on what state you're in, because when I moved from Texas, people didn't realize how big Texas was. I'm like, it's like 4 of your Englands.
Yeah.
So I mean, to get to the top of Texas to the bottom of Texas, it's a 13, 14 hour a trek.
Oh yeah.
And so you're just
is
like,
a
oh
haul.
my God, it's just it sucks driving in one state for that long because there's no, I mean, you look forward to seeing the welcome to.
Yeah.
Like that's why driving through like Tennessee and Kentucky, like the little teeny parts, you're like, I'm in Tennessee, I'm out of Tennessee, I'm in Kentucky, I'm out.
Yeah. So like I got up. So it's just about a 3 hour drive up. Now,
Was it a 3 hour tour?
No, because there wasn't a guide.
There wasn't a skipper.
Oh my God,
he missed it.
No,
Yeah.
he either missed it or he didn't set me up for it. You bastard.
I make the jokes on the podcast. I'm the funny one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whoa.
So
To put it in wrestling terms, shut your mouth and know your role.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. You forgot the jabroni part.
yeah, and he needs more eyebrow work.
Yeah, and he wasn't animated. Like Rob deadpanned that. Just so everybody understands, he had his hands on his microphone. He was like, "Shut up and know your role." Yeah. Okay.
Because it's radio.
It's radio.
So now to counter, I was through. So it was 3 hours, but I actually went through 4 states because literally you just kind of bounce back and forth within the borders. On the way
Oh
up.
yeah.
So, but it's a pretty easy drive. So I got there, played limited insertion. I took military orders. I took the Hospitaller Knight, Magister Knight Link Team of Death, just because it makes me laugh right now.
Gorgeous. Those are gorgeous models too.
Yeah,
Just gorgeous. And
yeah.
yours are painted. I mean, they're
Thanks.
phenomenal.
And that's what I had put together and painted up because I'm not going to go to a traveling tournament, and not bring a fully painted army. So although I wanted to play combined or Morats, they're not, and I'm not going to do that because that's me. It's fine if you want to do it. I totally fine.
Right.
But that's the way I look at it.
Different topic for a different time.
Yep. There were 16 people. It was pretty good. I had in my first game and in my last game, my army had the counters that I needed.
The hard counters.
Yeah, against my opponent. The first game I think was that Frontline. I don't remember. It's the one-
it was. Yeah. Mhm.
You have no idea, really. It's
It was one where there was 4 consoles.
Yeah, it was 4 consoles that you wanted to flip. Then you also needed to control the zone. So I think that was Frontline. Because it's Frontline, Decap, and then Biotech 4. I think is what it was.
Frontline.
And I actually I took 2. Geez, no.
You can remember how many
I
people were
yeah.
at the event, but
I
you can't remember what was
I
in
took
his army.
3 TO camo order sergeants, forward observers, and they worked out really well. So I literally didn't place them. So I placed mine like, here's my 7 dudes, and then everybody was like, well, great. That means there's 3 other things somewhere, and they actually played off very well. I had a hard time with not the Taskmaster, the other version of that model. That Krita Borak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't know they had a 360 visor.
Ooh.
Son of a bitch. And Fatality. That thing.
That thing's rocking.
Yeah, it was. Not Fatality. The one that auto.
Lethality. Or no.
The one where it gives you the.
+1 for your damage?
No.
Killer Instinct.
Randy's just making things
Damn
up.
it, I don't remember what it is. Sorry about that. Everybody here will know. Full auto. That's it.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So it was pretty tough. I was able to pick apart some stuff early that really helped, but he got it in a spot that I was not able to dig it out. But in the end, I did not need to. So it was pretty tough. But then we went on and did Decapitation, which was one I played on the interior ship, and then the Biotech Vor, which I think, again, I don't, especially limited insertion. Limited insertion Biotech Vor on the table setup we had was too much. And I think I've talked to some people. Was it you, Rob, that essentially had your whole force taken out by the Biotech? Somebody literally lost everything to the Biotech Vor.
I had 2 models left at the end of the first round of Biotech Vor because I couldn't get out of the area.
So what's more unfun? Getting your entire army taken out before you get to do anything, or the table doing it for you?
Unfun is the table doing it for you.
Because
I would think. Well, I don't think either one of those would be fun, right?
But I mean, but at least if somebody kills all your stuff, it's a learning because you can deploy wrong.
Yes.
You've done something wrong, whereas the table, like I just couldn't beat the table.
And for that, I think it's more the mission. The mission is unfun because there is a dice roll that takes place, and granted it's BTS, but it's still a dice roll. It's a random event that could eliminate a good majority of your force if you don't have the order pool to do things.
I mean, I was lucky that the 5 models that it did take were multiple wounds.
Now, did you guys have the mission list before you went to Bug Eater?
We did, and I actually had a little bit more of a cheaty thing because they had Rob and Chris Wiggles, for those of you keeping track, had sent Randy and I pictures of the table. Or no, they didn't send them to you. They sent them to me.
Yeah,
pictures of the tables.
Nobody cares about me. If you guys are wondering,
well, actually,
nobody cares.
No, they did. Wiggles didn't send them to you because he didn't want them to intimidate you and wanted you to come up anyway. So he was like, because I purposely didn't send them to Randy.
Wow! So I'm getting set up. I was getting set up by Wiggles because Chris was texting me, like he was texting me and messaging me leading up to it, like, so you're coming, right? You're coming. I'm like, dude, I really kind of want to, and I kind of don't want to. Like, what I have painted up is steel phalanx, and I have limited. And to be perfectly honest, my deciding factor, I had 2 deciding factors, and the majority of it, because I don't ever want to blame the tournament. The major factor was I had clinicals coming up, and I really needed to I wanted to rest up for what I'm in right now, which is this
Hell
crash,
week.
which is just I've been balls to the wall. I got home at like 11 o'clock last night, and I started at 5 a.m. with clinicals. But I saw Biotech Vor, and I looked at my points, and I had like a conversation with Rob. I think you were on the chain too, but I was like, limited insertion, that's the 10, because I mean, again, you guys all know I know nothing. I was like, that's the 10 order pool, that's the 1 order pool thing, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, well, I could take steel phalanx, but what I have painted up is, I mean, there's no link teams in what I have painted up. I painted up the models that I really like. And I was like, Biotech Vor is going to take me out. And if I go to an event and the table beats me, like if the table kills me, I'm going to be pissed. I'm not driving 3 hours, spending money to get in for a table to just crush me when if I didn't have clinicals and work and a bunch of other things going on and I could play Infinity all the time, I'd be like, oh, whatever, it's a throwaway weekend. But that was just like, I was like, God, Biotech Vor is just, because what is the event that we played for the Kansas City when we played? We had that one mission, where you have to capture the model across the table, and everything in the middle is the new ITS.
So the rescue?
Yes, rescue. Yeah, rescue. God,
and that is a tough mission.
That's a tough. But the difference between rescue and Biotech Vor is it rescue. Because I agree with Ryan, there are times where you want the challenge of, God, can I beat the table and beat my opponent? Can I do it with prep, right? I know the scenario. Let me try this list out. Let me see if I can maneuver around. So I know I can beat the table, but I don't know if I can beat my opponent. But I know I can at least maneuver the table. Yeah. Biotech War becomes a
crapshoot.
It's a crapshoot because at the end of the day, you can mitigate a lot of Infinity, but there's still a dice roll to it. Yeah. Right. If you roll nothing but 20s all day, no matter how good of a player you are, you lose.
Yep, and I just thought of something. So for those of you who are new and don't really know what Biotech 4 is your deployment is actually only 8 inches in, but then the Biotech 4 area is 16 inches in, right? Now, if you are within that 16 at the end of your turn, you're taking a damage.
BTS 9?
No,
it's 13 or 14.
It's 14 or 16. I think it's 14. A BTS 14 hit, right? Now, if you are a structured model, you're taking 2.
Yep.
Right. And then any armor rolls or BTS rolls you fail, you take a wound, right? Nothing you can do about it. You take the wound. And like I said, Rob said several of his guys died to it. I took 5 wounds. Luckily, they were all multi-wound characters that took it, or models that took it, so it was great. But in my opponent, he had one model that didn't make it out of it, and he actually died to his at the end of his first turn. I'm like, oh, great. Now he was able to bring him back later because he didn't completely remove from the table. But it's really tricky to do a scenario like that and have unusual tables. And I say unusual tables because mine there was not. It's all at an angle, which is normal, but it was like multiple levels. So, and then there were like ditches, so I would have to jump to get across the ditch, which is a full order when I'm already on a 10 order max list, right? And so anything that has advanced deployment or infiltration or any of that, you have to take a physical roll, and I think it's -3. I think it's phys -3 to deploy those. So my 3 order sergeants, I literally put them all out there, and I made 2 of the 3 rolls, so they were already safe. And I'm like, sweet. And then one guy stood in the back, but
and I didn't make any of my fizz rolls. Yeah. So Van Zandt didn't make his fizz roll. Airborne Ranger didn't make his roll, and Rosie didn't make her roll. So they're all in that 8-inch area, and
so it's really tough. Now I did learn off of another podcast is that somebody's secret is he would put his HVT at the 16-inch point. So then he has a visual marker. I'm like, And I did that on one side, and then I measured out for the other one. I'm like, that corner of this building. And I'd move my link team up. And I'm like, okay, cool. They're at the corner of this building. But the way the table was, it had like a little apartment complex up on this little riser and some stairs going down. It was pretty cool. It had a monolith rail going through it. It was a neat looking table, but the angles that it was and the way I was standing, I was like, it totally threw me. So I'm like, okay, I'm at the end of the corner of this building. I'm like, but this corner is actually only 12 inches. 12 inches. And not 16. So just all the angles just really optically illusioned my
See what happens when you try to get a little edge there, buddy? He tried to get that edge, that gaming edge.
Yep.
Yeah.
He tried to game it. I agree. And again, I'm not slamming. He put on the great event. To me personally,
and Jonathan was in a great mood too. I mean, I chatted with him multiple times.
Oh yeah, he was.
And I just Biotech 4 to me is just, I mean, if you want to have fun, I'm a fun guy. Everybody knows I'm the narrative guy. Biotech 4 is not what I want to like. It's just not my cup of tea. But for the challenging guys, for guys that like it, I've heard people like, I love Biotech 4. I mean, you really have to plan for it. And I totally get how that's a challenge to escape like an area and have an opponent, but it's just such a kick in the. I mean, especially with the army you're playing with. There's no multiple wounds. It's okay, got it.
I'm done.
Well, and that's where I think I think if you're going to do Biotech 4, you don't stack that with limited insertion. Too. I think
I can agree with that.
Well, I think the counterpoint to that would be if you're going to go to a limited insertion event, what are you doing playing? Certain army. Like I feel like limited insertion becomes a certain armies are what are you doing with that?
I'll be honest. I took Ariadne. I took the U.S. Ranger Force, and people were like, "Really? You're going to do this?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing it." And I went 1-1-1, so it's not bad.
It's still. I mean, if the idea of the tournament is to have fun, no matter what. Yep. I mean, and you're going to take what you like to play.
No, you're absolutely right. And the cinematic event that happened with me and Wiggles was he was able to move up his 5-man link team, and I had Van Zandt and a Minuteman holding down one of the objectives, and you could almost see in the mind's eye the theater of Van Zandt ordering the Minuteman, go, you must defend this. And he runs up and he takes his two, like flamethrowers, jumps out in front of the 5-man link team and is like, flame on, flame on. And Chris is like, yeah, I'm going to shoot you. I'm like, yeah, that's what I wanted you to do because you're going to be burning.
And it didn't work out. And then,
oh, no, it worked.
Okay.
Because that one Minuteman with those two flamethrowers, out of I think it was 8 dudes that were in that area, there was 5. The 5-man link team, and then there was like a missile launcher. Only the missile launcher was left.
Oh my God.
And it was just like, yeah, you need to make another armor check because you're still on fire. Okay, he's unconscious. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead.
Oh my God.
And Chris is just pulling models off. He's like, wow.
That's the thing. That's the thing when you're new and you don't know what things do, and you're like, oh, dude, I got this sucker pinned down. This dude's going down, bro. Yeah, you dude. It's the satisfaction of when you take your turn. You're like, I got him beat, and your opponent looks at you and goes, that was stupid. And then you're like, they do something, you're like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. So Chris, just a FYI, because I know you listen to this podcast, you're lucky, bro. You're lucky that I didn't come, because God bless, if you got schmucked by me, holy moly, you would have never lived it down, dude. Like, I would have got on the podcast, and I would have, like, literally, when we introduce ourselves, I wouldn't have been Randy anymore. I'd have been the Wiggles Killer. I've been like, I wiggle it.
Just a little bit.
We're going to be starting a musical podcast next.
Yeah.
We're branching out.
Yeah, and that's how we start. And then, by the way, if you ever have a rules dispute with one of us, just so you know, we solve everything with interpretive dance. Mm-hmm. So if you want to...
pants off.
Yes,
pants off, dance off.
Pants off, dance off. And I don't wear underwear, so we will be slanging some ding-a-ling. You know what I mean?
So it's definitely a wiggle.
It's definitely a wiggle. We do the wiggle worm.
So, all right, so let's... how'd you do on Sunday, Rob?
You beat me.
For those who don't know, Rob and I have had a Rob has had a long-term objective in a tournament, and this goes back when we played fantasy. We traveled to tournaments. Rob and I have been traveling to tournaments together for years.
Decade.
We've been
more.
We've been to multiple states. We've done lots of that stuff.
Ryan has made poor life choices in multiple states.
Yeah, but the story has continued. So.
The story's continued.
Oh, yeah, it was good times. Real quick to fill you in there, we may have drank a lot. I may have drank a lot on that. Thrown up in my friend's wife's car,
which was brand new at the time. With power windows.
Yeah, with power windows. I made some of it out of the window. Woke up in the morning, threw up some more. Played my first game, which I won, by the way.
Oh, well, that's important. Okay.
Then I'm like talking to my opponent. We're jabbing for a while. I'm like, I am suddenly really, really warm. Made it to the bathroom, threw up some more. Took lunch break, and then played the rest of the
And on this lunch break, Ryan was like, I'm not going to eat these tacos. Do you want them? I was like, yes, please. Because I didn't drink.
We went to Taco Bell. I took one bite. I'm like, nope.
Nope.
So, but anyways, so that's the poor life choices story. But so Rob's outstanding goal is he just wants to come.
I just want to beat Ryan.
Just wants to beat me.
Yep. In the overall standings.
In overall placings, wants to be ahead of me.
Okay.
There were several tournaments where it was literally like he was like one down.
So yeah,
like
Ryan would be like
5
and I'd be 6.
Yeah.
Or he'd be like 10.
This sounds
and I'd
like
be 11.
This sounds like the next event we all go to. We'll have to have bets.
Is there going to be one of those, Randy?
There's going to be an event we'll all go to eventually. There will be that event where I will.
Because you can't stay in school forever.
I can't. That's right. I can. Okay, I can. It's called being a lawyer or a doctor.
Listeners, let's fast forward to 10 years when Randy finally makes it to an event with Rob.
Wow. You know what? You guys are gonna be shocked because when I finally show up to an event, I'm not gonna let these knuckleheads know. I'm just gonna show up at their house and I'm like, so when are we leaving? Motherfucker. He's here. He's here. Holy crap. Oh my God. What are we gonna do? Or when I send them a message like, so what time are you guys picking me up in the morning? And it's at midnight. So here's I'm gonna throw down the gauntlet. My first ITS event with you two suckers there, I will place higher than both of you.
Oh.
So just say so.
Wait, was that place higher or play higher?
Well, I don't know. So, and I want you guys to know that submarine will be in full effect because my first match I will score nothing on purpose. Like, okay, yeah. So we will have this friendly challenge when I finally eventually go, and we'll be 53, 54. It'll be cool. We'll be going to the retirement community having an ITS event.
We'll have to be rolling D20s the size of boulders.
so we can see it, so we can see the numbers. So when we all go, we will have a friendly competition where the loser will owe the two above something. We'll have to do something embarrassing, but that is coming soon to a tabletop near you. So just
all
saying.
right.
So
throw it down.
So there were 16 people. I came in 4th, which I was actually
Rob
pretty
came
stoked
in.
about.
I think I came in 7th. Yeah.
So is that higher or lower than Rob?
Well, let's see.
Well, it depends. It
4.
Yeah.
It depends.
So
Is
anyways,
this golf or?
yeah, so for those of you, so we were sitting there, right? And they announced first, second, third, and they did the random prize. The first got to go pick a prize first, which Matt, local,
Yep.
well now ex-local
Ex-local.
guy.
Yeah, and if you
won.
guys, and just quickly to go off of that, Seattle, when Matt gets there, when he joins your Facebook group, that's I mean, there's no more solid of a dude. I mean,
Yep.
like that is
He
the
is-
most solid Infinity guy you will meet.
Yep.
So
And
enjoy.
Rob actually gave him the Hobby Streak thing you're getting is a miniature version of the.
It was the prototype.
Is the
because
prototype that and so Rob actually painted it up
Yep.
and gave it to Matt
Yeah.
as a gift from the
from the cast.
Yep, from
And
the
so
cast.
just a quick. I mean, the Matt is. I mean, bar none. One of the
Super
best guys you're gonna meet. So Seattle, you're getting a solid player. So first, Matt finished in first.
Yep.
Yep.
And then we had was Andrew? No, Clayton.
It was Andrew, Clayton,
Then you.
Zach,
I think
you.
was Clayton. No,
And then,
Zach, I beat Zach this time
Oh,
because I
did
came in
you?
4th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zach. Yeah. Zach,
So I don't remember if it was
slipping.
Andrew, Clayton, or Clayton and then Andrew.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
So Andrew,
But
Clayton.
anyways, when they announced that I got first, I walked
Fourth.
behind
Fourth.
Rob.
Yeah,
Fourth.
fourth.
First. Jeez,
He
sorry.
just wants to be first
He's
all the
like-
time.
When
He
I
is
walked,
Ricky Bobby.
so I am first in my mind. I walked behind Rob and got slapped on the back and goes, so how'd you do there, buddy? And I walked by him.
Oh my God, that's
And
that's
the thing that
horrible.
made it so bad was fucking Biotech 4.
fucking biotech war.
Because Ariana doesn't have BTS, man. That's just the way it is.
You know what the problem is.
They put all their money in armor.
yeah.
Yeah, you know the other problem is. You just need to learn how to roll good, noob.
Noob.
Like
yeah.
roll good, noob.
I need to get that wrist
Yeah,
flick.
Yeah,
you got some wrist action, bro. this effing guy right here just blaming, like, oh, biotech for. If he would roll better. If
Yeah.
he would just roll
You can
better.
roll better. You got to. What I've discovered is you roll crits.
Yeah, roll crits.
Roll
Crits
crits.
Roll
Crits win
crits.
games.
Yeah.
Roll crits. Crits win. You know what? That's so just that's going to be our new T-shirt. Crits win
Crits
games.
happen.
Crits win games. Personal flash paper.
So at Wapaka this year, Tor and I started joking about crits and stuff, and the term crits up, tits up came out of that, and I totally wanted to get patches made.
Oh, that's freaking epic.
man.
So should we take one more break and then do
Yeah,
our
let's
main
take a
topic
break.
and then go for there? Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
let's do
good.
that.
All right, let's do it.
And we're not here.
We're never allowed to get together again.
Yeah, the inside joke to that.
The inside joke. So the inside joke of this is that when we did our first episode, okay, we had an actual critique session where we critiqued what we thought worked or we didn't like, what we wanted, and Ryan put in his comments for what he thought didn't work. He goes, "So Rob, after the break." We start talking. People know we're back. You don't have to tell them we're back, right?
We just know.
We just know. They hear you talking. They obviously we're back. And he said it in such a condescending way. Such a condescending
Yeah,
way. Like,
I'm a dick.
Obviously they know we're back. And so what does he do? So Ryan has been but he's the third person to go, right?
Yep.
So I went first. and then Rob went.
Yep.
So I make all the mistakes. Then Rob gets to clean up some of the mistakes. So you think by the time we get to Ryan here, right?
It's going to be perfect.
It's going to be
just smooth,
yeah.
flawless.
Yeah.
It's going to be like Kathy Ireland modeling.
It's like
Sports
Did you get that
Illustrated.
joke?
Yeah, I saw that too. I saw the joke. I was like, this fucking guy. So what do we do? We get into here, and Ryan's handing off the introduction material, and Rob goes, well, no, it's your turn. You should do it. And he's like, well, I don't know. He's like, no, I'll bring us back. And he did it. And I was just kind of like,
And we're back.
And we're back. And I'm like, this fucking guy. Oh my God. And so then he does it again. And we get to come back. And he's like, so I just looked at him. I said, so are you going to say we're back? Because Ryan, they know we're back, right?
Well, look, guys, I am such a humble person that I purposely make some of these things just so you guys don't feel so bad. I mean, I just really don't want you
I know
to
this
feel
is
like
radio
I'm
and you guys
less.
can't see my face, but I'm literally staring at Ryan like, what
Yeah.
the...
I mean, I really just try to keep it humble, and I don't want you guys to, feel like you're lesser people than me. So I will.
The
do
only way
some of
this would
these
be better.
things.
The only way this is better is if you pounded your chest, looked up at the sky, pointed your finger up, and thanked the Almighty for the ability to stay humble.
That's in my closing. That's in my closing
Is it?
comments there.
Yo, JC.
Thank you,
JC,
God.
Thank you, God. Thank
Uh,
you, God. Thank you. I want to thank God for
I want to thank
my
God.
abilities.
I want to thank God for this podcast.
for my ability to stay humble and know that I'm still the greatest of all time.
Yeah. I want to thank him for the skills he's given me. And,
Crazy skills.
And I'm
Pay
taking
these bills.
And I'm taking my talents to Kansas City.
I'm going pro.
I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take my modeling pro. So
I'm entering the draft.
All right, so so there's going to be a lot more random talk here when we're live in person. Than
Yeah.
Sorry about that. If you don't like that, I mean, we're sorry, but this is fun for us. Though it is what it is.
Yeah. So our main topic was going to do list building. Now we were going to go. Our original thought was we were actually going to go and build a list, but what we think we want to do
Because we wasted so much time BSing.
Yeah.
Yep.
What we think we want to do is kind of talk about our ideas when we go in. What approach do we use when building a list? And then we're going to do some extra bursts where we're literally just going to try to go army by army and build a list. We're all three going to build a list. And then we're going to have a get together and discuss why we included what we included, what our thought process behind it, and just kind of give you that piece.
Sure. So who wants to start with their thought process of list building? Because I'm sure I'm not going to be the deepest thinker in this, so I probably should go last or middle or.
Well, first, I'll go. F it.
We can sandwich it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we can
yes.
sandwich it.
Oh, yeah, we
yeah.
can.
Get all.
You guys are the chocolate. Oh, we're like a vanilla ice cream sandwich. Like you guys are like the vanilla breading, and I'm that thick, moist.
Moist.
For the people that hate to
For
hear the word moist.
ice cream center. Like just big and melty and
That is
delicious.
Gooey.
That is Ryan's kryptonite.
Ice cream.
Moist?
Ice cream.
Oh,
Oh,
you
yeah.
just say there's ice cream somewhere. Be like, hey Ryan, I think there's ice
You
cream
just
out
tell
in
me
the
there's
middle
ice
of the
cream in
highway.
the building, and I'll find it.
I want you to know that now this challenge accepted. When everybody's at my house, I'm going to hide ice cream somewhere in my house. Brian, can you find it before it
One
melts?
of Rob's and I's coworkers' wife works for Blue Bunny, which is a local KC ice cream place, right? The international, or not international.
Yeah.
I don't know if the international,
National.
whatever. But anyways, they're based here. She works, and he brought in sandwiches and literally left a piece of paper on Rob's desk and on my desk that were literally clues, and you just had to go through the clues.
And so I'm in my office and I'm working, and Ryan's like, "What do you think this is?" I'm like, "Dude, I got work."
Yeah, Rob like
can't
had like
play.
a pressing thing, and like one of my coworkers, one of my direct reports, it was driving her nuts. So she kept going in. She goes, "Not doing it." And I had stuff to do too, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm looking at it, but I'm trying to get my work done here." I'm going at, and then I'd kind of started figuring it out, but I wasn't doing it. And so she was like getting deeper and deeper. And so I went down to the guy who did it, name's Connor, which Rob put. He hurt his ankle, and Rob dropped the quick start guide to Infinity on his desk.
Here you go.
And then he came back, and then Rob goes, "Here's the books," and he took them.
Dude, you're a horrible drug dealer. You're horrible. You're horrible.
So we may get Connor to start playing.
That's nice.
But it was funny because I went down and I told him. He goes, "Are you not doing? You're not figured out any of them?" I'm like, "No, it's just Mary is freaking out," and so it's been kind of a joke to me. It's been kind of humorous. And he's like, "Oh," and he goes, "So, but you know what it is?" I go, "Yeah, like answer your phone." And he goes, "What?" And so he kind of got mad because I had figured him out, but I just was not
Just
doing
playing.
the clues. But so it was kind of funny.
Well, and that's also a lot like list building.
Yeah, bring
So-
us back on topic.
Yeah,
Rob.
bring us back. So when I approach a list, I look at a lieutenant, and I just typically get a lieutenant from whatever army I'm looking at in there so that I can just see what other options there are with that lieutenant.
Which is funny because a lieutenant's not typically the first thing I look at.
No.
Yeah. No. And it is the least most.
Least
The least most?
It is the least important thing, but it is a requirement. So I just the red X or the white X that just bothers me.
So that's the first thing you're looking at. What are you looking at first then?
Well, typically when I'm going into build a list, or actually faction-wise, it's typically the rule of cool. Like there's a model that I'm like, I just really like that model, and so that's what I like function. You know, I kind of gear towards, and then see what I can do with them. For example, I really want to do an Onyx Force because I really like the Zeodrons and the Overdrons, and so I literally just put in a Zeodron, right, and then just start, okay, that's this many points, and it's this SWC, and when he's going to go up and kill stuff. So what do I support him with? So let's go to like a Dr. Worm in case he goes down. Or I'll go, let's take another one of those. I like the first one. The second one's going to be cool, too.
I mean, I like one. What's better than one? Two for sure. Always two.
So what's the maximum availability of this? 2.
So typically, mine starts with a model or a unit or link team that I wanted to see what it does.
Okay, and that's interesting because that's the next thing that I do is I get the lieutenant just so that I get rid of the damn X, and then I go to the rule of cool of these are the models that I'm working on now, or these are the models that I've got painted, and then I build around that as a core.
Now, if I'm going to a tournament, I will definitely do this. What do I have? What do I need to?
Right.
I say that except for Mission Critical, I had to paint 5 models in 5 days because I changed my list.
Did you change your mind? See, I don't. I do kind of the rule of cool, but I do a cost base analysis. So I look at the model. I look at the force first of all, and I kind of go, how much is this going to cost me to if I do what I want to do? Because I go theme as first. Like I have a hard time in Infinity and God, like games that allow allies drives me absolutely batshit crazy because I'm like, if you're playing that army, why are you not just playing that army? Why are you playing? The 40K drives me nuts with that.
Yeah, you're like
with the people that cherry pick the best of everything.
I'm playing dwarves, but here's my undead and my dragon.
So Randy, real quick, before you said the cost, are you talking cost point wise or
I'm
cost
talking money. I'm talking money. So it's not that I'll spend what I want to spend, but I look at something. It's just like I do anything else with home goods, like TVs, like I love that TV. How much do you want for it? Nah, I can wait.
Yeah,
I can wait it out.
I want to play these 2 models, but they both come in 4-man box sets, so that's 8 models I've got to buy for these 2 guys.
And then you try to resell it, and I don't want to do it. I just like the effort of actually trying to get rid of 6 models or 3 models. I don't want to do it. So now I have to try to play those 4.
Wait, you get rid of them?
Yeah, I don't get rid of anything. I know it just sits on a shelf. So what I end up doing is and this is my problem with shiny, and I looked at Eugene and I was like, I love Obi-Wan. And I was like, Rob, I'll go half these with the Red Veil thing. I didn't even look at the rest of the army. I was like, I just want to play Obi-Wan. Well, Obi-Wan doesn't come with a stupid set, but I like the ninja. But I don't like the ninja that's in the box. I like a different ninja. And so I'm just like, God dang it, I like 5 effing models in this whole army, and then I like some Imperial service guys, and I'm like, I'm not going to play it. Because it'll cost me too much money to put this whole thing together, and I just don't want to do it. So I end up looking at a model. I'm like, that's a cool fucking model. And then how much is this force going to cost me? And then, and then the second thing I do, which, I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one. Can I paint this? I've actually looked at forces and went, there's 0 chance, and I don't paint very often, 0 chance I could paint that model and not look like a 5th grader painted it. I don't want to play it anymore. Because I have Harlequins for 40K. I had to commission it out because Harlequins look cool as shit painted. Yeah. There's no way I could paint it up. So I was like, I'm going to have to commission it out. So if it's something that I don't feel and there's not much I can do skill-wise, so you'll see a lot of the armies I try to pick are monocolored armor that I can add little stuff to, and I can do some shading, I can do a little bit of highlighting. I have no sense of color paletting, so it's rule of cool. Can I actually pull off the cool? And if I can't, next army. So I appreciate the great painters that can just pull off. I mean, you guys' armies are just, I mean, they're really cool. I mean, said something about when I was playing with your U.S. Ariana Force. Like, that's a really cool army. I didn't paint it that guy. You talk to him.
Talk to that.
I don't know how he did it. I don't care. It's this guy. So that's my first step is cost, and then cost with rule of cool, and then can I paint it? So that's how I look at starting. Like before I even build a list and start going, that's what I'm doing.
Yep, I think that then, once I get that first, and a lot of times we'll just get an idea pop in my head. I'm like, you know what? I wonder if I could build a list that just takes a bunch of, I have one list built for Onyx that I actually nicknamed the hacking net, right? And so it's just got a bunch of repeaters and killer hacker devices and stuff like that. And the idea is it's just going to, it's got other hackers, but it's basically the idea is it just fans out this hacking net, right? So if you come in, if you're hackable of any kind, you're going to be. Because I'm going to have all sorts of stuff on you.
So let me ask you this question, because with our list building and we build our lists differently. So to jump ahead a little bit, because I think we all have the rule of cool is kind of our basis, right? And then we all have, I think we all do theme. I think we're all big, like, how can I make this cool list idea work? The biggest question that we get emailed to us, right, ever, is, so I bought this. What's next? What's next? Yeah. Right? So what we're saying is we understand everybody that does that, right? Because almost everybody will tell you Infinity, well, go buy the get started box of Yujing, or pick your faction, buy that because it's a good start. This and the support box, buy it and go, right? Or just buy the one and go, because you can actually get games in, you can practice. And we were talking, and we were like, do not be afraid if you have a group of friends, or if you don't, and you're the only one in your group of friends that wants to get into this, to tell people, like, I want to play this. Do you mind if I just pull out? I used to play 40K. I used to play this. I used to play, and I want to proxy this force. I want to see how it does. People aren't going to care about that until you're doing it for 6 months and you've never bought a model, and then people are going to go, all right, dude.
There was a picture, it's probably been 2 years ago now, of just silhouettes. And the silhouettes had what it was, model-wise. So it'd be like, here's 4 silhouette 2s, and
so
they're
you can
all
go
Minutemen.
get 1-inch white PVC, cut them to silhouette 2 heights, right, and then literally just write on those what it is, and that works too.
But
it's not. I mean, it's not.
It's not as
it's not
thematic.
As cool,
and the part of this game is the models. Most people would say that they got into Infinity because they love the models.
Yeah.
So my question to you guys is: so you have an idea of a list. We all do, right? So we'll go from here to this point. We've got the rule of cool. We've picked our force. Somebody looks at you, and you've been playing a long time, and they said, so I bought this. What do I go next? Like, what am I doing model-wise next? And don't use the rule of cool as your answer, because the rule of cool is always, so just be clear, rule of cool is always
that is
your
a
answer.
baseline.
Yeah. All right.
So I think it's weird, right? So because that answer is going to vary.
Sure, and this is the point of this.
So a lot of what I would then is like, well, what are you trying to achieve? Right. Do you want to? I want to get up in their face and punch them in the nuts, or I'm going to sit back here as far as possible and shoot them, right? Because that's gonna dictate. So, for instance, say you've got somebody who's playing Morats, right? And like, I want to go up and punch them in the guts. All right, buy a Dotterazi box set, because that's what they do, and they've got smoke to get there, right? If they go, I really like the idea of the Morats, but I really want more range. Okay, well, so you can take this Yao-Gat sniper, who's going to give you your MSV2. He's going to be this back piece. So so there are all of those options within each army. So I think that's kind of what you're built to. Or you can go, okay, have you played? What do you find as being your hindrance? Like, I don't have enough guys pushing buttons. Okay, great. Here's where you're going to go from there, right? So I think that's probably the other questions. I don't think somebody goes, what do I do next? Without going, what have you done? And where do you feel late?
Right. And what is your style?
Right.
So,
there's not a net list.
And style is huge, because in other gaming systems, like, your 40Ks, your Kings of War, your Malifaux, I play this way. This is the army that does it. And sometimes it's off-putting, because I actually tried to get my wife to play Fantasy at one point.
Oh, right.
And she loved the look of Slanesh demons. She loved the look of it, right?
That's weird. Her mom did too.
Yeah, her mom did too. She liked the boob out thing. It was amazing.
The boob demons.
But she liked to play the style of dwarves. But she didn't like the aesthetics of it. she liked that style. I just want to roll. If I'm going to play, I just want to roll the dice. I just want to set my stuff up and just I don't want to have to think about that aspect of it, right?
So she likes the short, stumpy, bearded people.
Yeah,
huh?
she did. No, she doesn't like it. She didn't like it.
Oh, she didn't. Oh,
She didn't like the short, stumpy beard because I even did some manscaping to try to get her.
try
I
into
know.
thinking
That's
about
what I
it.
was.
Trying to
Yeah,
lure her in.
yeah. No, I did because I a couple weeks ago I got into a car accident with a dwarf. I did. I got in a car accident. I actually.
It's a joke, Rob. Don't.
It
Everybody. Rob's like, what?
Right.
You didn't tell us.
Rob, yeah. I got in a car accident with Rob. I rear-ended him, and he got out, and he looked at me, and he had a frown on his face, and he was like, "I am not happy." And I said, "Well, shit. Well, which one are you?" So anyway,
I was going. I thought there's gonna be a head hurt thing. I was I was waiting for that punchline.
Yeah, no. So aesthetically, yes, in Infinity, I personally believe there are factions that do things a little bit better than others. They have a flavor wise. Like if you really want to, but if you are dead set, I love this model look. You can fit in doing what you're trying to do within that constraints to a point. Like USA Arianda, you're not going to get if you want the big robot type list, and you're not going to get it.
You're not going to get a
And I
super
also-
hacker in an Ariana
And I
list.
also think the funniest thing is that there's also the opposite of the rule of cool, because there are units that I think were in like all games. There are units like, this is a really cool unit. I hate those models. I'm not using them.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
using them. So-
totally agree, and I think that's aesthetic of whatever. But like, so somebody says to you like, hey, we've got there, and you're like, well, what are you trying to accomplish, right? So I think that so if you are asking us, and I think any podcast or any people are going to have a different view on this, but if you ask us, what are you trying to accomplish? The best way to build a list is really to bounce the idea off something like this is what I'm thinking. The problem is when we say that to people send us lists. What do you think of this list? Well, I don't know. I mean, it looks cool. I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to do with the list.
Yeah.
Like, are you? I mean,
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with the list. What are you trying to accomplish? Because when Rob and I said that the episode we should have recorded and we didn't was I built that tournament list. When we started, I started the list how I like to start the list, which is I have to have this model. And I am with you. This model is in the army. I don't care. I don't care if it sucks. It's in the army.
Yep.
I don't care. Doesn't matter. I'm not here to win. If I'm going to play, I'm playing with this model. So this. If we're going to talk about things, just know that this model is never coming out ever.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what are you going to do with the lieutenant? What are you going to do with this? Well, I'm trying to do this, and so I start building it.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to do that, then you have a person to bounce off of. But you have to let people know when you shoot a list, what are you doing with it?
Yeah, because I think that if you choose a list, and let's just go back to that guy who has the Dotarazi list as the 12 of them, right? He's like, I've got this list, and I'm like, oh, that's a kind of cool idea. And then I'm like, I don't follow it up with, what are you going to do with it? Oh, I like to sit back and shoot people. Then what the hell are you doing with these Dotarazi?
Right.
So,
agreed.
so that's why you can't just say, how does this, again, that's why there's not the net list in Infinity that you get other people, because I may have a model that I really like, that I use really well, but I've been using him forever, right? And I really know where he excels, what range bands he's in. I've already got that part down. And then Randy goes to use it, and he's like, "This guy sucks."
Why are you telling me that?
Yeah,
the blackjack.
The blackjack.
sniper.
We had the blackjack because I used him as an HMG. I used him as an HMG, and I hated the blackjack. But we had this discussion, and again, these are things we should definitely record. I don't know why we don't have time usually, but we had a long, lengthy discussion over. I hate the model. And then Rob was like, "Well, how'd you use it?" I mean, because I'm like, it sucks.
You didn't hate the model; you hated the unit.
I hate the unit, right?
Yeah,
Because I'm sorry. I don't hate the model. I hate what it does. And Rob was like, "Why do you hate it?" Well, I felt like I could have done. I could have took this, and this, and done the same job as the blackjack for what the blackjack did for me.
Yeah.
But after talking to Rob, I didn't use it the way he does. So he was like, "Well, if you use it this way, it's really effective." And I'm like, "Well, God, I hate that. Like that doesn't fit me." And so you end up, and that's why we say like, proxy a model before you spend $40 on it.
Yeah.
Or you get it off of eBay for $30. But if you've proxied it, and you run it, and you're doing it with your buddies, and you go, God, I just hate this model. Well, dude, you in a friendly game, there's nothing wrong with going.
Yeah.
Why are you like? Is there a reason you're doing that? Like,
and even so, I used to be like in the fantasy realm when we were playing that. I didn't play a unit if it wasn't painted. So even in my just everyday games, I'm like, they're not painted. I'm not playing them.
Sure.
And I came into Infinity with that mindset, and I've talked myself out of it because I'm like, you know what? I want to play with this model first. So I'll assemble it, a lot of times clean, assemble, and prime it before I get to paint it. Like most of my Morats are that way, right? And I'm playing with them because then I'm like, this guy does not work. I'm replacing with this, and then I can kind of get those feels.
And then
too.
you paint it up, and then you don't waste time painting.
Correct.
I need money.
And to your guys' points, in 2 of the games at Bug Eater, I used the Blackjack Sniper in 2 different roles, and it was just a boss. Because in one game against Chris B, it was sit at the back and has dominating fire lanes. In my game against Adam, which was Biotech Vor, I was able to get the Blackjack into the normal area in my first turn, so I wasn't taking the BTS hits, and then he had open fire lanes. And it was just...
Yeah. So I think, to kind of pull back a little more generically, I think that, one of the things that I look at is I typically try to, look, okay, how many specialists do I have?
Right.
And if I'm doing a limited insertion, I'm 10 ordered list, that number's going to be smaller. I'm going to try to okay, what's the minimum? Do I have somebody with decharges? Do I have a doctor engineer type of person?
Sure.
What do I have there? And then I'm going to kind of okay, how can I get them where they need to be without being molested?
Because to your point of needing specialists, playing highly classified and not having an engineer.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, there's one of the things.
Yeah.
Or not having a hacker.
Yeah.
There's one of the things.
And I typically, and then I will also, kind of look at it. My military orders 10 order list has no hackers in it at all. It actually only has, in the one I took to Bug Eater, it only has the 3 TO Camo order sergeants that are forward observers and a hospital and night doctor. That was it, which is a lot, but there's no engineer, right? And I'm playing a 6 heavy infantry list, so EM, that's the end of my day.
Right. Well, and that's a conversation that you get from a lot of new guys, and a lot of goals for new players, believe it or not, is they want to go play in a tournament. I want to test to see how good this is, and people generally ask, well, what do I need for a tournament? Well, actually, the correct answer, to me, is what do I need for a tournament is you just need practice.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to know.
Well, and even so, people are like, well, I'll look at the scenarios and I'll build a list of the scenarios, and I actually don't do that.
Nope.
I will build a list that I think I want to play, and then I'll look at the scenarios and be like, oh, okay.
I build to the scenario.
I build a balanced list because I look at it from Murphy's Rules of Combat. No plan ever survives first contact.
I mean,
because
sure,
I
look at I agree with you, but I look at Biotech 4. I look at capture
and
is
protect. Yep.
Yeah, I look at certain scenarios because I have this is the list that I like to play for almost everything. But boy, this list is gonna get just jacked up in this scenario. I don't have a way to deal with the scenario. I can't, specialists. I might play this and I might have a hacker and that's my specialist.
Well, and it's you're right, and I think it's funny because when I was playing Toha, because Toha Toha does triads, right? For those of you, that's a link team thing. We'll get into that some other point. But I would typically take a McCall, something that's going to heavy hitter, and then a specialist and all. That's so it could vary. And so that's also what I'm looking for too. I was like, okay, I've got this really cool list and it's 10 orders, and all right, and I'm great. And I'm like, combi rifle is all I've got. That's not
really
great,
effective,
right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a lot of shots downfield, and you can make people roll some dice, but
I'm not gonna do anything. So I also think about what are gonna be. These are my face punching units. These are the guys that are going to go in, and they're gonna do the work. They're gonna be my Rambos. If they're gonna go in and just kind of kill a bunch of people. And I think not only when you're looking at that, you look at the range bands, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have one of my very first Morat lists. Its longest range weapon was the Mark 12, right? And so, and I actually had at Mark 12. It had an HMG and a total reaction bot with HMG, right? So those are my longest weapons. Well, my first 2 games, both HMGs got taken out really early, and I'm
so
like,
you're neutered.
Now I have to go way up into your face to do anything. And so I think that I typically try to look at, if I can get a sniper rifle or an HMG or multiple in there. I really like the Spitfire. The Spitfire is probably one of my favorite weapons profiles in the Force.
Right, because
in E-Force.
In my last game against Clayton, another one of the Kansas City players here that's starting JSA, he hasn't played a lot of Ariadna, and so in my 5-man Minuteman Link team, I had AP HMG, missile launcher, and then 2 forward observers with the 2 light flamethrowers. So that way I've covered all of my range bands because I've also got rifles on the two the two light flamethrower guys. So to your point of covering those range bands, if something gets taken out, it's going to be really hard to take out both APHMGs or the missile launcher and an APHMG.
Yeah, and I think about it, and so the Rodoc 5-man Link team, most people here like I take the missile launcher and an HMG, and then paramedic and a couple other dudes, right? But I have actually started taking double HMGs because I can get them up and in position because they have super jump. I mean, they're only 4-2 move, but Link team super jump, and I can get those two HMGs in ARO pieces areas if I need be, and they are tough at that point because I've got two HMGs because damage 15, right, or 14, and is it 14? No, 15.
15.
Yeah, 14 is a Spitfire. And so it's like one of those things where you have to think about is like I need to be able to punch through people's armor. I need to be able to if I hit you, that model's pretty close to being dead.
Yeah.
Right. So I think when you're really building a list, a lot of the questions you need to ask yourself is, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think that a lot of it is also going to boil down to you need to build the list and then play games with that list to get the practice that Randy was talking about. If your goal is to, be a good player or to just go to a tournament, you're going to have to play games.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I do. So I think all of us would agree that if you're going to build a list and you want to ask, what do I do next? Play, right? Play, and don't. And I will say this. I think I've said this before on the podcast. Is that if you post a podcast on WGC or list on WGC or anything, you're like, hey, what do I want to play this. What do I do next? Or I will tell you to play games and then play multiple games. Don't just play the one and like, oh, this sucked, because it could have just been your opponent, dice roll, whatever, right?
Yep.
So
table.
Table. It could be that. So play a couple games because that's going to give you a better look of what things is, and then start swapping out pieces. But don't like, I played the list, 3 games. This all sucked. I'm changing this whole list.
Or I'm selling this army.
Yeah. Play 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, at least.
Change a model or 2 at a time, because then it could be the interactions goes.
Yeah. So the store is opening.
Yep.
So
This is
we're wrapping it up.
Yeah,
now.
we're wrapping it up.
Is it?
Yeah.
So all right. Well, so I guess we'll tackle individual army lists next time, or on a burst.
On a burst.
And we'll have to do this again, face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Face
sounds
to face.
good.
This has been fun.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Okay, guys. See you later.
Bye bye.
Well, that gang of fellas really knocked it out of the park on that one. Until next time, computer, tell us what songs we've heard.
Intro/background music. Flying Species. The Yellow Flying Cog. Soft and Furious Horizon Ending. The use of these human works of music is granted under the current Creative Commons license terms and agreements. From the freemusicarchive.org, from the artists as listed.